Hey, Boom.
Hey, buddy.
What if all I write on the notepad is Boom over and over? Every time I take a note, I'm just writing Boom, 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 Boom.
I put Boomcast is what it was in the...
Was it really? Here you go. You can wear these if you care to.
Oh, my goodness.
Welcome back, Boom.
Where'd you get these headphones? Did they hand these out in the Delta flight over? These are pretty nice quality.
0 to sharpshooting that fast. These are bad earphones.
Yeah, they're not
This whole
great.
thing is bad.
Yeah.
The whole setup is bad. The table is bad. They just sawed a hole in the middle of this table. No, I like it. When I say bad, I'm so glad it's not slick in here.
Yeah, oh.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Every once in a while, Katie will post a photo of me and the guest, and people are like, "That's where." Like, it looks like we ran away from home and like built our own place.
No, it's cool. Well, Marin started that. Marin started the whole, cool, raw podcast place.
I think you're right.
And he popularized that. So you got to, be cool.
Well, it's probably deliberate. It's Chris's call. This isn't my place. Do you want black or almond?
I'll take neither. I'll just take a water, please.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
I just point to it. There you go. You don't want either of these? Katie, do you want an almond coffee or a black coffee?
I'm okay, thank you.
All right.
I think I'm, vaguely lactose intolerant or something. I think just, milky stuff just messes me up.
Even almond milky?
I don't know.
I bet you'd be fine. It's gross. Milk is gross.
Yeah, I know. Milk is disgusting. It truly is. And I drank milk all the time. Like when I was young.
Me too.
When I was young, I would have a big glass of milk.
I'd come home from basketball and drink milk.
And then somebody was like, "That's a cow's breast milk," and I was like,
Yeah.
"You're." And
Yeah.
now I can't not taste it when I'm tasting it. I'm like,
But you're not. It's not even a cow. If I'm on your farm and it's the Bo Burnham farm,
Okay.
and there you are, and you have your dog, and you're throwing a boomerang at him. It's more fun that way. And you have your own cow, and you milk it, and you bring me a pail, and we
you
drink
throw a
it.
boomerang at a dog. That's the most torturous thing to ever do. Your dog goes insane and kills himself because he can never get it. He's running. It comes.
No,
back
he's
to
a
him.
good dog. He's just happy to see you're having fun.
Oh my goodness.
He's just watching it, making sure it gets back to you. It's fine. This is why the dog suicide rate in Australia is so high.
I think it's just the lack of general culture in Australia.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's funny. I don't even know that, but I hear, it's so funny. I hear, I feel like a few times I've been to Britain, that's what British people tend to say.
What? That's
Look
where
down Australians
they
for
sent all their prisoners and stuff, and they're still trying to bounce back from that PR nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's super funny, though.
It was a prison island.
I was like, I think it's great. I've been to Melbourne a few times. It's
I've been to
super
Melbourne.
Nice.
Now you can go and watch a movie where there used to just be criminals.
Is that true?
Yeah, it used to just be people making knives out of things.
Well, yeah. It used to be the indigenous, and then that was...
Well, the indigenous were there first, and then all the criminals came. So that's the indigenous people were just like, this is what's happening elsewhere, like the worst people. Although a lot of them were just like British people that broke some vague law, so they weren't really badass people.
Oh man, I'm not going out on a limb and acting like I know these things. You're very brave, Pete.
I like that you're assuming I'm probably wrong. So you're like, this is a bold move. No, when I was in Melbourne, David O'Doherty told me everything.
Yeah, David Dory's the best. He's so funny.
Isn't he the king?
He's so funny.
He's our Irish lord.
He's so funny.
He rules us all. Let's finish milk.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Finish
Oh
our
my
milk.
goodness.
What I was saying was, if you had a single cow and you gave me that milk, I wouldn't think it was as gross. When we drink it, we're drinking thousands of cows.
Yes, that's not as gross to me.
It's thousands of
I don't know,
cows.
because then it seems less intimate with the cow. You know what I mean? It seems less like I'm getting
This is Daisy.
like a cup of birthday. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's grosser. You don't know. Picture 1,000 cows. One of them is the weird wonky. He has one white eye. He walks sideways. You're drinking that cow. I'm calling it a he too, which is funny. It's a girl because they got tits and, we're
not
drinking their
even tits, though. They're genetically
Sagging.
designed to
I
be
know.
giant vats of milk,
and
just
constantly pregnant.
yes.
They have to be They have to give
Is that
birth.
true? Oh, my God.
To lactate. They don't lactate all the time. They're just like us.
That's
They only
amazing.
lactate when they give a birth. So they give birth.
They're
and
just
then-
like us.
Just like us. They're just like us.
Same thing with chickens. I mean, wandering around, they're literally just bred to be balls of meat that walk around. And they
I
have,
know.
Little vestigial wings.
Would
and
you
crap.
feel better if we could breed chickens that didn't have heads or consciouses?
No, this is the thing. I think probably vegetarianism, veganism is probably almost certainly morally correct. Like, it's absolutely probably the right thing to do.
Talking about that on stage.
And I've said that, like, if you love your dog, if you believe truly that you love your dog, then you have to be morally boom, boomerang.
It's a free show.
No, but the idea, if you love your dog,
I love your dog.
A pig is smarter than a dog.
That's what my bit is about.
Mostly about.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, dog. Here we go. We can talk about it again. Dogs.
But so you either have to, if you're eating bacon and you have a dog, you either have to admit that you're doing a terrible thing and eating something that's worthy of your love, or you have to admit that your dog's love is just a projection that you've thrown upon it.
Right.
It's not really real.
It's funny. I was on a little hike this morning and I saw a car, and you know how sometimes they have on the back window of a car, they'll have like the family. It's like the dad, there's the mom and the two kids. Like you buy different stickers. Yeah. Someone dies, you peel it off.
Yeah.
That was very dark. But anyway, it was just one guy and 3 dogs.
Yeah.
And then he had another bumper sticker that said, "I heart my dogs." I was like, this motherfucker loves his dog. And he was in the car and I saw one of his dogs. So people get like intense. And I had the same thing going on in my brain where I was like, pigs are smarter, emotionally and socially smarter than dogs, considerably. They say it's like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. This is one of the facts that people.
But they're not as furry and friendly, and like. But that's the thing. I think a lot of love for animals is pretty like arbitrary, and us just picking up on our subtle emotional.
Well,
like, we're more caring for things with big eyes.
Can I take you? I love where you just went with that. Okay, so dogs are cuter and furrier and funner to touch and all that sort of stuff,
and more social and like they express their joy probably in a more pleasant way than a pig would.
I've never seen a pig run up.
But I've also heard people have little potbelly pigs that are apparently like great pets.
But what do we do about the human version of what we're saying? Which is, you ever been in love with a girl and really your initial interest in her was because she was so gorgeous? What?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of where this is going.
No. What I'm saying is it's the pig dog thing. The dog is cuter, but maybe you're better off with the pig.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's sexual things, which is a total different thing. You know,
but the sex often hooks you in. What are we to do with that?
I don't know. Well, I just always thought like...
Or the attraction hooks you in.
I mean, I'm just thinking there's nothing wrong with this girl is perfect and your best friend, but you're not sexually attracted to her, so you have no
spark
obligation to date her.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
no intention.
I don't know.
But isn't that wrong?
No, it's not wrong. I mean, I think you're entitled to sexual attraction in a relationship. That's what literally it isn't just a girlfriend, wife, husband, boyfriend, just a best friend that you want to fuck. I mean, isn't that basically
I suppose so.
But then that comes together and makes all this other stuff where you live with them
But like there's a girl and she just doesn't get your dick hard, but she's perfect. It seems like a bit of a tragedy.
Tragedy that you can't what? Does she like you?
Yeah, well, in this fake scenario.
Well, that's always a tragedy. But a tragedy that what? You have the freedom to hang out with her as much as you want.
But it's more like we reverse engineer it, meaning like you meet somebody and they're like your perfect body type. And I've done this. I'm thinking about somebody a while back, and she was great, very, very sexy, and then you date her, and then you justify everything else. Like you find the looks and justify the personality sort of thing. Whereas like, what are the chances? I'm bent on things like, oh, you married someone from college? What are the chances that your soulmate went to your college? You know?
Yeah.
Or like, what are the chances that your soulmate also looks exactly sexually how you want her to look?
Well, the thing is, I don't personally believe in
a soulmate.
Soulmate, no, not at all. I mean, I do definitely believe that. I think statistically, I could have fallen in love with about 1 out of every 500 women. I think no. Well, if I look at my life, how many women I've come into contact with, I do believe that there's like, I don't want to like get into this with. I don't want to get into this bit without like acknowledging just a bit that's coming to my mind. Tim Minchin has this bit. He's an Australian musical comedian. Yeah. He's amazing.
Twice Australia.
And he has a bit called "If I Didn't Have You." It's a song about if I didn't have you, someone else would do. But it's all about the idea that like soulmates aren't true, and it's like little. But the idea that I understand.
So funny.
Well, no, it's true. The idea that statistically, like, if you're 1 out of 1,000, there's like whatever 100 million of you in the world,
right?
And that, but that's the thing, that love isn't this like thing that's. Isn't this like bolt of lightning that strikes between two people meeting? It's this like shared affection and this thing that grows over time, and it's
nurtured.
It's this codependency. It's this like it's like symbiotic. It's a thing that happens, and you could be with a girl for 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. I feel like, and just like you could say, well, 10 years ago I could have met someone that would have been better for me. 8 years ago I could have met someone that I would have loved more than you. But right now I'm the person now that you literally are my soulmate. You are the only person in the world for me.
Right now.
Because I've been with you for so long, and
and it grew into that.
Part of me is you. So that, like, I think soulmate becomes true. I just don't think it's a thing that starts off as.
Some people are very, very convinced. I mean, people that it happens to.
Yeah, I think it's. I wouldn't be very critical of those people or anything. I think that's just like a sort of a slight difference in terms and everything.
I understand.
A different way of thinking of it. But we're both thinking of the same thing, which is
sure.
I care. But again, I think the most beautiful thing is that I could fall in love with that many women in the world. In theory, I mean, I think everyone.
You think that's beautiful?
It's a beautiful thing that I
think it is too.
I have the ability to fall madly. I have the ability to die for one out of every 500 women, or you know what I mean?
It's beautiful. Imagine if we got
different
them
universes. But I think in different universes, I can.
What if we got all of those women together and just assembled them in a castle?
That'd be
you would
amazing.
fight so hard for that castle.
God. Oh, my God.
Well, sometimes I think, you know what I wrote down? I think it's one of those unrelatable premises, is that I was like, I think I need 5 girlfriends, right? And just saying that makes me feel scuzzy, because I'm for love, I'm pro commitment and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes I'm like, okay, I want a girlfriend. Let's go with the hypothesis. I want a girlfriend. Okay,
yeah.
Which me wants a girlfriend? Is it healthy Pete, who's hiking twice a day and doing yoga and drinking kale juice? That's one Pete. Or is it drunk Pete?
Twice a day?
Sometimes.
That's very good, man. Oh, my God.
It's a mild hike. It's a mild hike.
Nothing.
It's very mild. It's more of a saunter.
It's more of a up the stairs.
It's a Steve Saunters. 90210 reference. Okay, anyway. So is it that, Pete? This is just me. Or is it drunken Austin eating barbecue, Pete? That seems like a different guy altogether. Is it religious Pete? Or is it today I'm agnostic Pete? Which Pete needs a girlfriend? Which one are we looking to pair up with? And then you're like all these contradictions. And then what am I doing with the girl? Are we going to Hawaii and not going outside the whole time and fucking the whole time? So then you want like your sexual ideal? Are we raising parents? So you want someone that's incredibly maternal and like raising an intellectual? Are we reading books? Are we doing the New York Times crossword puzzle in bed? Stuff I've never done. Are we meeting my parents? Are we raising kids? All these different things. What do we do?
I don't know. I mean, this might be like slightly naive of me, because I'm sure all of my answers are in one way or another like soaked in that. But I would think to find the right person, you have to ask the questions, or the healthy outcome would be if you're asking the questions the other way, which is you meet this person and you want to do this for her. What can I be for her? How can I
be all those things?
How can I take the things that are so selfish, which are my, I want to do healthy things with her. I want to fuck her. I want to do all these things that you want. Hopefully, when you find someone, those questions are coming second to how can I wrangle all of myself to be the best self for her. I think
that's great. What you just did was you took it outside of my own stupid universe, where it's just all about me, and you're like, what can I do for this other person? It's a very mature answer.
I just think that's probably what's going to be more. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I know how to do it perfectly or anything.
Sure.
But when you say like, oh, you want a girlfriend for all the different parts of you, that's just, you're never going to get that. Obviously,
right.
You're never going to. And everybody is obviously different in what parts of them carry more weight than others.
Right.
But I think that most healthy urge is the urge to please her or him, and the urge to just desperately want to make yourself fit into whatever peg that you've seen that she is or he is.
So you think
it might not be true? I'm saying, and that might not be possible. But I think just that urge to be selfless with somebody is probably the best way.
I think that's right, and loving. But what about, it sounded like we were getting very close to making somebody else happy, which is a dangerous area, I think, for people like us, like performers. Do you run into that?
I don't know. I think that's what that's what you want, is desperately to make people happy. And that's all I want is to, make the person I'm in love with happy, yeah.
But isn't there truth to the idea that you can't, it's not your responsibility to make them happy?
No, I think I don't know. No,
I just love that you said no. I know how you feel. I feel sometimes how you feel.
I don't know. I think that's like a. No, I think it is. I think it's certainly. It's obviously not you aren't the source of their happiness,
right?
But I feel like the reaction of, it's not my job to make her happy, seems like the reaction of somebody or someone, I'm not saying you, but somebody or someone that's been with someone that was kind of a problem and like, you know what I mean?
I get it.
Just constantly unhappy.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you have to be, well, it's not my fault. This isn't projecting my problems or anything. But in a healthy relationship, you're both, yes, you both think you want to make the other happy. I guess that's a difference between wanting to make someone happy as a huge priority and feeling like it is your responsibility, which I think are different.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel like my happiness is completely dependent upon this person. If I'm not working with them 24/7, they're going to be miserable.
Right. Like if I weren't with you, someone else would do. Like they would be happy. Mm-hmm. Like it's a nice feeling. I was quoting the Minchin song that you were saying. Yeah. If I weren't with you, you would still probably continue to function.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I'm not a load bearing.
And that's a good point too. Is that you want them to be happy, regardless of whether it's coming from you or not. Right.
Oh, that's nice.
Like okay, so I want you to be happy, and this might be taking you away for a couple weeks or something.
But do you have that?
The last season of The Office. That's happened with Jim and Pam.
Do you have that performer instinct? Like we like making people happy. We like, or you know what? I'm not even going to speak for you. Part of the satisfaction I get from my job is I like making a room of people happy.
Yeah.
And I like to dissolve conflict and fear for an hour or so.
Yeah.
Do you have that in your blood? Is that like a Bo Burnham
I probably do. Yeah, I think I do. But it isn't what gets me on stage. It isn't what keeps me performing or anything. I do, like, I just got off tour. I did, I don't know, 15 or 17 shows or something.
Yeah.
And when I get on stage, it's more like I want to do this show, and I want to serve this show, and I want to serve maybe, like, this higher idea of theater, and I'm sort of interacting with the audience as this just sort of whole, higher thing, like higher intelligence, like this whole unit or something.
Yeah.
And after every show, I'll go out and I'll meet the audience and just, meet everybody who wants to meet. And I do that for me because without it, I get off stage and I don't feel any of those things. I don't feel like I made a room happy, even if it's a great show and they do well. I go, oh, I missed this part, or like this wasn't as tight as it could be.
Right.
Or this, because I just see it as a
forest instead of trees.
Yeah, I don't even see it as I don't even see it as wood. I don't. I'm saying, but I don't. I'm saying I just like. I just see the show. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with comedy where I don't necessarily see it as this thing for people in the moment. I see it as theater, so it's much more about serving the piece and performing the piece as the piece should be performed that night. Or so I'm just saying I can get very technical in my own head.
Yeah.
But then when I go out and I meet everybody after, I get to shake their hands, I get to say hello to them, I get to talk to them, and I get to hear, oh, I enjoyed this, or this made me laugh, and that makes me feel exactly what you're like. Oh, okay, yeah, I did. These people were happy, they enjoyed the show, and this is actually why I'm doing it. But it doesn't come. It comes with effort for me to get to there. I'm not able to get there effortlessly. I have to, and I like to. It's like I'll get off stage and I'll be like feeling bad about the show or something, even though it went very, very well. And,
sure.
And it, 4 years ago, I would have died to have a show like that.
Yes.
I'll get off stage and be so in my own head that I like to go outside and meet everybody, and it's super, super nice.
Before you're getting off stage and meeting everybody and reconnecting with reality, which is it was an evening out for these people. They sat in seats and they watched you. Everybody looked forward and watched you and were entertained. It's interesting to me, your relationship with theater, and I'm remembering our first podcast because I remember that you and I have very different intentions, and I'm very envious of your intentions because in a healthy way, not in a like you jerk way. Is the theater, or the idea of the theatricality of the show, the theater of the show, is that like your idol? Is that like are you in service of theater?
I don't know. I just it's more I'm in service of the show that's the show that's currently that I've written and that I need to perform every night. So it's a little more concrete than that. I'm saying rather than theater, it's like the show itself is a performance,
right?
But
those are just your thoughts. Those are just things you. So see, we're applying labels, right? So like some people are like very particular. I'm like, when is your show? And it's like, show. I don't do a show. I just get up and talk. Like I've had people correct me. I don't do a show.
Oh wow!
But you're going the other extreme, and you're going like
you corrected. You say
I've had people be like, what's your show like? A show. I've had other people do that to me.
Oh,
I consider what I'm doing to be an act in a show.
Of course it is.
And I don't mean this to sound accusatory. It just sounds to me, because it's not. It sounds to me like you're really embracing the other side of the spectrum, being like, I Bo Burnham have a thought. if we're going to break it down. You have a thought, then you write down the thought, then you structure the thought in a place, in a thing, and you structure other thoughts around it. That's really what's happening. But then you start calling it, and what we call things is important, you start calling it theater and you start calling it a show, and it gives you a little bit of reverence. It makes you smaller, and it makes the thing bigger. And that's how you're approaching your art. I think that's fascinating.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah, I do like the idea of feeling like I'm within something on stage. You know, that like when I have all the sound and the lights and all those things going.
Yes.
It does feel like, like me, Bo, the performer or whatever, is just a small element of what's going on stage. And is actually like a victim of what's going on stage sometimes, or like, interacting with
You're a cog.
Exactly. But then me, the writer, is the bigger voice of the show. It's actually like, hopefully me, the writer of the show, is actually the star of the show in a way, because when I'm interacting with the voices or whatever, you know that the person on stage isn't the actual, creator of everything, or isn't the architect of everything. There's something a little bit.
There's another Bo,
which is the actual one. The actual one is the one that wrote this. The actual me isn't the one that's reacting to all these things. The actual me is the one that wanted to make the thing where I was reacting to all these. If that makes sense,
to give you the reason to reenact it again.
I mean, it's who knows? I mean, I finished. I had years of thoughts about this new hour, and would talk about it forever, and it's finally finished, and I hope it's. I think it's what I said it was, but it's super weird and definitely way, way different than my last one. And it's just it's weird and different, and maybe a little weirder than I thought it would be to people. But I think they have a fun time and they seem to enjoy it. But see, this is what I'm talking about. When I start to think about the show, I get completely in my own head.
Right.
Like I completely in my own head, and I panic myself.
Yeah. But that's interesting.
But it's it's the panic that gave birth to the show in the first place. So I think it's okay.
I think it's interesting, the idea that you're trying to honor some other side of yourself. Do you compartmentalize yourself?
Yeah. There's a bit in my show that's about how I compartmentalize myself. It's like this backing track thing. It's like a duet between my left and my right brain, where my brain gets split down the middle, and then I do a duet between my left and my right brain.
Cool.
And it's sort of about that.
Can you help it down? The left and the right brain.
It's basically the left. I simplify it completely. I know, a neuroscientist could be in the audience, and be like
me with
the right brain wouldn't be able to speak.
Yeah.
But
That's great. Yeah. That is great. Yes,
that's such a party boomer.
Yeah,
but basically, it's also it can also it's the regular binary of the heart and the head, or the
which side is it? Just
basically
teach me
the left brain is logical and consistent and analytical, and the right brain is emotive and feelings and all that. And that's very, very simplified, but that's basically the way. It's that basically my left brain is the one that's been thinking critically about things. My right brain is the one that's feeling, and it's basically a whole thing saying. The left brain is saying, it jokes at first, but it's basically by the end saying that, the left brain saying I worked hard, I did everything that got him here, and you were just worried about what he was scared about, you were holding us back, the whole reason he's successful, I got him everything he wants.
Yeah.
And then the right brain being like, well, what is your end game with all this? I mean, we can be successful, we can be all this, but we're not going to be happy without it, and who cares without it? And they fight, but then left brain makes the right brain cry, and at the very end, the left brain says well, maybe we could do something together, and they find out that comedy is the thing that they could do. That's the thing that they both have in common. That the only thing they can both agree upon is that okay, comedy. The left brain's I could do the form, and you could do the themes, and we can finally do this thing that brings it together. And so it's sort of the microcosm for the birth of the show, I think, which is comedy is the way to fix me, and not in the typical way of because I can share my problems and all that, because that's a lot of the times what I've hear it is therapy for me in a way, but
sure.
It's therapy in my way for I think a resolution of a split in my mind at some times where it's these two halves of me don't really communicate, and this is a place where I can kind of
common area.
Yeah, I've sort of felt like I was kind of good at a few things that seemed on opposite ends of I wasn't good enough in math to be a mathematician, and I wasn't good enough in music or whatever to be a musician or anything.
Right.
And comedy has kind of let all these things come together in a way that hopefully hopefully works.
That's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. That's whether it's comedy or whatever. I think we're all looking for the perfect pot to pour our mess in.
Yeah,
I know that was gross. I should have said soup, but the mess.
No. That's a really nice way of saying
something to keep it all together. And I that's something that I'm very grateful. And you made me re-grateful. But in my experience, it looked like I could either be a youth pastor, and I say that on stage, either be a youth pastor or a comedian. But it was because I can play a little bit of guitar. I like talking in front of people. I like making people happy. I like calming them down. Where does this go? I could either be a charismatic guy working at Enterprise. I actually always think I could work at Enterprise. I am not putting down Enterprise every time. First of all, I'm Enterprise loyal.
I am Enterprise loyal.
I love Enterprise. Don't go for a cheaper one because they'll get you with the more expensive, different upgrades and whatnot. Enterprise. So I go to Enterprise and they always seem happy and they're like chipper and they wear a tie. I'm like, I could wear a tie and a blue shirt. Like I can do this.
It's amazing.
Talk about insurance. I love it. But so comedy being that thing when we're all looking for that thing that kind of makes peace with ourselves.
Yeah.
Something else that's interesting about what you were saying and about compartmentalizing in general. Yeah. I'm a huge compartmentalizer. In fact, I was doing it earlier when I said, which Pete needs a girlfriend. In fact, I will also say, drunk Pete really likes picking people up. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're Pete. Like, it's really kind of bonkers.
It's amazing.
But also, you were talking about your left brain and your right brain, both discussing Bo. And I know I'm more new agey than you, but one of the things is separating ourselves from the idea of our brain, that we exist outside of our brain. Not even as a soul. It could be in your brain, intellectual. For me, I would like to pretend it's a soul or entertain the thought that it's a soul. But the idea that you're looking, it's a very new agey, spiritual, Eckhart Tolle, power of now sort of thing where you observe your brain and its intentions and what it's doing. And you kind of did that in that bit. But Bo was outside of the brain going, look at what my right brain is doing, look at what my left brain is doing.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that. I personally don't think I'm doing that.
Okay.
I just don't think I can go outside of my mind. I don't think
you vacationed outside of it enough to kind of.
No, I didn't. I think I, in retrospect, looked at my past behaviors and was able to create characters for them. And I think theater is the most. That's why I like theater. I think theater is a way to do that. It's a way to come outside of ourselves where we normally couldn't. I mean, maybe meditation. I'm open to those sort of things.
Sure.
But theater is like, okay, so I can preserve a part of my brain in performance.
Right.
In theory, in a character, and then I can watch that back. And
do you like? Go ahead.
No. You go.
Please.
No, please. I don't have a thought.
I love thoughts.
I don't have a thought.
I know, but I love them.
Jesus.
I love. Do you love theater? Do you when you say theater? I know you mean comedy being a part of that, music being
no theater like theater. I did it all my life. I haven't done it in so long. I've totally missed it. If anything goes south or whatever, I can't do this for a living. I'll just go back and do theater.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Tell me, you like watching it and you like doing it.
Yeah.
And you did even as a young man.
Yeah.
When you're supposed to think it's boring.
No, yeah, I always did it when I was younger, and I loved it. Missing theater was the reason that this show changed. I missed listening on stage. That's something that I love to do. Listening on stage is half of theater.
Right?
It's like acting is reacting, whatever.
Yeah.
And active listening to somebody is a very fun and exciting and different thing to do on stage. You don't get to do that as a comedian. So. In this new show, I built things where a voice would be talking to me for a minute so I could actually listen on stage because I miss doing that in theater.
I wonder if that's decaying a part of us as much as we become autonomous. I kind of look at stand-ups as like bachelors, you know what I mean? Like, and bachelors are like, I'm the king of the castle and I got my stainless steel fridge and look at this espresso maker. Basically, I'm Hugh Grant and about a boy.
Yeah,
you're governless. You have no help.
Well, that's funny. That's interesting. If you're looking at bachelors, it's like that is an interesting thing. If you were to think the audience as potential suiters for this guy, it is like, wow, this guy won't shut up on my day. You know what I mean? Like, this guy, all he does is talk about himself,
Any other circumstance outside of the theater, it would be an asshole.
Yeah. No. But I'm certainly an asshole. Holy crap, am I self-obsessed on stage? That's the whole point.
We both are in our ways. I was getting moved when you were talking about listening. I think that's sorry to say, I'm going to use my words, and I just hope they don't threaten you.
Oh,
there's something
no.
spiritual feeling about that.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not a guy that jumps on words. Or
Okay.
anything. I don't care.
But I don't want you to think that I'm making you sound new agey. But when I say spiritual, I mean communal. I mean connecting with a person, being in a still room with an audience. Something about doing something together is another thing that I'm getting really big on. People love watching movies on TV because they know hundreds of thousands of other people are also watching it. We crave community. So a silent room, holding their programs or whatever, turning off their cell phones, all together watching another man, listening to another person, like in that stillness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I'm totally on board with that stuff. Like, I totally... I think more than other comedians or something. I haven't done the clubs in a long time. Like, I haven't done comedy clubs in a long time. I did them when I started. I would do like a weekend and stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with a comedy club, if you do a weekend at the Improv or something, you could be selling 1,000 tickets. You know what I mean? It wasn't a matter of tickets for me. It wasn't a matter of that I would sell. I couldn't sell out comedy clubs. That wasn't.
Sure.
I wasn't able to do that much business there or anything. But I love being in a theater. If it's I would so much rather do a 300-seat theater than I would, pack out a 500-seat comedy club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I love the experience of what a theater is, of the seats and the stage and the lights and the proscenium and I love it so much. I have such a one of my favorite parts of my job is just being able to go to theaters and
look
see
at
them
theaters.
and be them. And be in them, perform them, and perform in them, and that's exactly what you're saying. I mean, just what you said was a beautiful way of, articulating what some of those moments feel like. Yes, like it's all these people watching somebody listen.
It's like church. It's a little churchy.
Yeah, or if it's just like me doing a song at the piano with a spot or whatever, it's just like I feel completely empty. I feel like an outer space, but then I have this abstract wall of people. I don't know. It's like it's certainly. And I'm the least spiritual person or whatever, but that is as close as I ever come to those feelings.
It's transcendent.
It's definitely and I'm totally agree with all those things. And that's the thing. That's why I don't care. I said I won't jump on you on words or anything because I do, for the most part, think a lot of these differences are just our different use of terms.
Sure.
But yeah, totally transcendent. Just an insane feeling,
right?
But also a little bit addictive. Way too much of a drug. Like my body is surging for like an hour and a half at a time. I've gotten off stage and then multiple times got off stage and just felt pain all of a sudden. Been like, oh, so I slammed my finger during that and it's broken now, and I couldn't feel it on stage.
Yeah, the adrenaline.
So that's a little too much.
Yeah,
but it's amazing.
How do you come down?
I don't know. What's weird is that over the years, the period is less and less and less and less, where I will get off stage, and then 10 minutes later, I'm like, where am I right now?
What do you mean? What do you mean, where am I?
Like before, like it would take 3 hours. I'd be jacked up for like 3 hours after, and now it's maybe like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But weird for me, it's such an abstract experience. That's the thing is, it's so weird getting up and performing for so many people. I had a bit like my old special that sort of talked about what it feels like to be a performer and the sort of inconceivability of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And especially in these like theater, and I'm playing like small theaters. I mean, I think some people think I'm doing way bigger shows than I am.
Right.
I think.
Sure.
But I do decent little theaters.
Yeah.
And it's enough people to be completely abstract and mind blowing. So that when I come back, I was on this tour for 3 weeks or whatever. I don't even remember it. I remember it happening, but it seems like another thing, another world. Like I could believe that it was almost a dream because it's so weird. It's so inconceivable, and that's the problem with all of this stuff out here is that it's all so inconceivable. I'm surprised it took this long for me to bring it up, but this actually does make a point. I just released a show on MTV like 4 weeks ago. Or whatever.
Yes.
And it's called Zach Stone's Gonna Be Famous. It's on tonight at 10:30. Whatever. It won't be on tonight, but at some point Thursday. Yes. And, the numbers aren't great. The numbers aren't doing perfectly. But you hear the numbers that are watching the show, like 400,000 people being a bad number. Like, oh my God, only 400,000 people are watching the show. And you stay in this little town, in this bubble, and you're like, oh my God, only this many people are watching the show. What do I do? And then I'm like picturing like 8 stadiums full of people watching the show. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is amazing. This is unbelievable. I'm so grateful for this. And why would it have to be that if just everyone else had lower numbers, I'd be happy? Why does that matter? Why does it matter what everyone else is getting? It doesn't.
That's really interesting.
It's like I'm that many people watching something I made.
Right.
Is amazing. Yeah. And to think that and some people here want to think, so it's not successful. You've wasted a year or 2 years of your life. It's like I got to make a show which is already amazing. I got to make a show which is like more than I ever dreamed of, and it's still being seen by so many people in reality.
An unthinkable amount of people.
Yeah.
Most civilizations grew up not knowing 400,000 people were also on the planet. When we
but I went on this tour, this tour I did of 17 cities or whatever. I don't know, maybe 10,000 people came out, 15 the whole time. You know what I mean? And that felt like so many people every night. That felt like an insane amount of people for one person to be in front of.
Right. That's great. That's wild. Sometimes I like to think about all the people that are listening to this show and try and picture them in a stadium. You know what I mean? Which is wild. It's a lot of people. Some of them are sleeping. Some of them are nodding off. It's not the most attentive crowd.
But it's
what was it? What was the show like? Was that we almost did it together, which was I was so bummed that didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that the show exists and is doing well in the sense that you made the show you wanted to do.
And it's not bombing or anything. Right. And people that are watching it are really enjoying it.
Yes.
It's a show it's a mockumentary about a kid trying to be famous. That's about a kid hiring a camera crew into his own life to try to be famous. And, it really was started, the character itself was conceived in the idea that, I find myself punchable. I don't like looking at my face. So if I'm going to play a character, I'll play a unlikable character, a character that is, likable in spite of his face,
Wait, do you just mean your facial features, or I mean
just everything?
Life?
No, I just sometimes I look at me and I'm like, ugh. I'll just embrace
great
that.
To talk about. Often I find that moment in the morning where I'm don't get me wrong. Most of the time I'm I've said this on the show. I get to be this guy. What a fun thing. I enjoy that feeling. And other times I completely relate to what you're saying, where I'm like, ugh, this is tiring. And you completely understand the idea that someone's like, this guy's an idiot. You're like,
just getting tired. I get tired of me. So
that's what I'm saying.
I get tired of me. So I would just trying to embrace that.
Yeah.
But it kind of backfired.
So you made a bad character for yourself.
Yeah, basically. Or just, I think if you watch the show, you understand him and you do like him and you pity him. Mm-hmm. And you understand where this insecurity is coming from and where this punchability is coming from. But for the most part, he's abrasive and annoying, just hints of David Brandt or Michael Scott or anything.
He's an entitled jerk.
But, what was I going to say? I think I lost my thought.
You were saying he's punchable.
It's slightly backfired in the sense because then it got out there and a lot of people watching MTV thought he was real. And some people were like, Bo Burnham's real name is Zach Stone. What is the deal? And I was like, And but the whole idea was to make a show that did make fun of MTV culture from MTV,
right.
And that was a challenge. And people had said to me, "Why isn't this show on Comedy Central? Why didn't you put this?" Right. And I didn't want that. I didn't try for that. I didn't know if I could have, but I did. This is exactly what I wanted.
Even the network was kind of part of the joke.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
People said that Kubrick put Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut, and that casting was also part of the joke.
Yeah,
which I don't really know that much of that theory.
But obviously, in the same thing, Kubrick doesn't think Tom Cruise is a joke. Just like I don't really think MTV is a joke.
Right,
MTV
but it's also part of it.
MTV has a sense of humor about itself. Beavis and Butthead, they've had that history. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I wasn't unknowingly sneaking in and shitting on them. They were aware of what was happening, and they were happy to do it. And they gave me a lot of freedom to do it.
Right. It seems to me this is kind of a strange question, but it seems like you're raging against something. It seems like you're angry. Are you angry?
No, I'm not totally angry. I mean,
are you angry at the idea of these kids that just want to be famous and MTV?
No, I'm not really angry at because that's the whole idea of I thought I was going to go into it bashing Zach.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It isn't about Zach. There's nothing wrong with dreaming or wanting more than you have or wanting more than you're even capable of or entitled for, especially when you're young. I mean, that's part of being young. It's the idea that these regular impulses of children are now being funneled into these terrible mediums, and companies are very often asking the question, what do kids want, and not ever considering the question, what do kids need? Which is a huge, huge problem. And I am very angry at a lot of these managers of pop stars or owners of magazines, just like there's no conception of what we're doing to kids, what we're doing to their expectations of what they want out of life, what they should get out of life, what they should value in themselves, what they should pursue. They should pursue. Don't pursue a passion. Don't pursue something you get enjoyment out of. Pursue something that could eventually lead a 1 out of a billion to something that could maybe satisfy.
Right,
it's crazy. It's
to money and fame. You mean instead of like bliss or?
I just mean like to pursue the approval of strangers rather than even the approval of yourself, or is insane. It's truly insane.
At the cost of the approval.
And there's a theory, someone could, maybe wonder that, this pursuit of fame and other people is selfless in a way because you want other people to love. I mean, what's better than just wanting people to love you in general? Doesn't that mean you're relating to people and you want them to love you? Isn't that empathetic? And it really isn't, because it's a bit psychotic. And for the most part, it's asking for parasocial relationships rather than actual relationships. Parasocial relationships are what they call these relationships with celebrities and fans, quote unquote, that go completely one way.
Yes. And
are encouraged, and managers encourage these young pop stars or young actors to do this. I love my fans. I love you guys. You guys are, I'm not saying I'm a diehard fan of people. You know what I mean? I'm a diehard fan of some people. I love, but there's an understood, I love your work, and I'll get nervous around you because you made this work, and it's, you know what I mean? You can fangirl out a little, responsibly.
Right.
But when the artist or whoever is encouraging it and thriving off it, it is insane and destructive.
Like when Bieber prays for his fans and stuff. There's an intimacy of like, let me pray. Like if I was like, Bo, may I pray for you? That's like a weird thing.
Yeah, there's some insane. I don't know necessarily about that. That might be insane. But like, for example, I've talked about this, but Bieber did this thing where he would call them the Bieber buyouts, which there were a few of them where girls would go. Girls were going to Walmarts and buying all the Bieber CDs and then donating them to cancer wards and stuff, which is beautiful. This beautiful gesture from these girls, 12-year-old girls. People were shitting on the girls. Of course not. These girls are amazing. These girls that would want to take their money and bring the music that they love to a sick kid. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But then Bieber's management came out. I'm sure it wasn't Bieber, or maybe it was, and encouraged this. Instead of going, hey, guys, you guys are great. This is so nice. Just give them the fucking money.
Yeah.
Just give the cancer wards the fucking money. Yeah. Or we'll donate 1,000 CDs.
Right.
Not keep doing these buyouts. You guys are heroes. It's taking advantage of girls. There's a bit in my special I do talk about this.
Bieber buyouts.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of that shit where they'd buy singles 20 times on iTunes to get it higher in the charts, and he would encourage that. It's like, fuck you. Buy a scooter. Save it up and buy a scooter. I don't need any more of your fucking money.
Go ride a scooter.
Yeah, and it's
You're gonna love it.
Scooter Braun that's saying that stuff too. It just, I don't know, and I don't want to be too judgmental, and I don't want to piggyback on, because I see a bunch of people just looking at people going fucking faggot, you know what I mean, all this stuff, and I hate that. I don't want any of that. I only get angry when I feel like young girls or boys or just kids are being taken advantage of.
The marketing of it.
Yeah, it's just a little annoying. I don't know. And it's also, I mean, I think Taylor Swift is probably a good girl and like genuine and all this stuff, but it's this like, I don't know, it's this like best friend celebrity thing where it's like, I'm fucking so much richer than you. Mm-hmm. I live this amazing life. I sell myself constantly. I tweet about my life. I only like to like tweet jokes and everything because I think that's my only thing I have to value people for the most part. I'll tweet you jokes. That's what you want from me. You don't want my fucking life because that's what you get from your life and your friend's life. You don't need that. But Taylor Swift, all these people that share everything with their fans. I love you, and all that. And then they get surprised when people are snapping them, going, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the paparazzi are so invasive. No, they're not. You let everyone into your life.
Yeah.
For the most part, these people that are being snapped, you invited people in your life. You invited reality show crews in your life. Don't act like you don't. Just because it's inconvenient for you now, you created this demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the thing. When people always ask about how you deal with haters, that's what I always hear. How do you deal with the haters? And everyone says, I just ignore them. Fuck the haters. There'll always be haters. The way you deal with haters is you first deal with the lovers. And you realize that the love is equally far from the norm as the hate. And when you can deal with the love and realize that that isn't really true, then you can feel better about the hate.
Hey, Bo.
Yeah.
Fucking A. Jesus Christ, man. You're right.
But truthfully, it's like, if you believe the people that say, I love you, I love you, I love you so much, whoever.
Yes.
If you believe that, you will always believe the hate.
Right.
But if you realize that the person saying, I love you, you're my hero, is just as wrong as the person saying, die in a ditch. You know what I mean? And basically everyone is sort of like, I like your stuff or I don't like your stuff. That's basically what the spectrum is.
Yes.
I kind of was able to grasp that in the last year or so, and I felt much better about things. And I'm trying to.
Well, you're self-generating. You're a perpetual motion machine, or you're striving to be. You're trying to be like, am I doing the theater? Going back to your language, am I doing the show that you want to do, that writer Bo wants to do, performer Bo wants to do?
Yeah, I just totally, for me, it just absolutely, just like everybody, everyone's just trying to be happy, and I'm also trying to be happy and also trying to teach myself to be happy in the right ways, which are, I get happy from challenging myself or doing something different, things that I know I can do for 40 years.
Yeah.
I can always, if the fans fall off, whatever, I can always challenge myself. I can always write new things. So, you know what I mean? But if I'm being happy you
don't want to become an addict to like an reply. Look, I'm as guilty as anybody, or more guilty than other people. To people being like, I love you, Pete. I want your babies. I'm like, cool. Yeah. It makes me feel nice.
Yeah, you just got to try to. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy it, but you got to.
No, I get it. I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you just got to. The thing that you drive the most happiness from is got to be the stuff you can visualize having in 20 years, no matter what.
But that is conditional. I start shitting my pants and I like lose my stand-up ability or whatever it is that people are responding to. The show jumps the shark. Something happens. You're saying, what can I generate? I love what you're saying. I can challenge myself. Do you have other things? What are you doing to be happy? I just want to listen.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I know I'm too involved in work. I know I've put too much of my effort into one certain thing.
Sure.
I know I should be getting it probably more from physical stuff, or I do
throwing a frisbee.
Yeah, I should get that, and I will, but or traveling or I don't know, but I travel.
But isn't there a business element where you're like you're playing pro ball right now, and if people want to come and see you, you should go out and see them while they want to see you?
Well, there's the business aspect of mine is I do not spend any money, and I save as much money as I can because I want to be able to live for the 10 years that I see happening in maybe 5 years where I'm no longer making money like I am and I can just do theater. I could move to London and do like a little,
You're the coolest. Why do you want to hang out with me? I don't understand.
No, that's stupid. No. But
I don't get it. You're the coolest. You're so cool in a way that I'll never be cool.
I'll be quiet.
I mean it. And it's great. I'm so glad to have you.
No.
So you're not spending money, and you're trying to
Well, I mean, that's not
project a future.
I'll be, I'm just saying, I'm trying to save money for that. That's the business aspect of it. I do want to make money,
right?
But
sure,
but it's.
And save
hopefully,
to better your life,
and hopefully to fund the years where I'm not making money, which I totally see happening.
Well, that's what I mean that's what Birbiglia said to me. It was like, you're playing pro ball right now. The reason they give you, I'm just going to make up an arbitrary number. The reason they give you $5,000 to do the theater or whatever is because that's why they give baseball players whatever they give baseball players is because you can't do it forever. Like you at a certain point you won't be doing it.
Yeah.
So they pay you more because it's like, you save this. That's why we can't go on cribs and just pimp out our rides and stuff.
Yeah, I mean they pay you $5,000 because there's however many people there times whatever minus whatever.
Yeah, sure. That's true.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're right.
A math joke.
No, but you're absolutely right. But Birbiglia looks at it like they're giving us an inflated salary because it's not going to last. That's what he tries to.
Yeah, I think I think there's no fairness to whatever it is. They're giving us an inflated salary because the world's not fair, and my job is valued 1,000 times more than my mother's job as a hospice nurse, and that's fucked up. It's just not right.
Sure.
But yeah. But I'm also, this whole thing about like me saving money and all that, I am so aware that this is coming from a place where I am disgustingly lucky in that I've never had to think of money as a way to put food in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
my parents were not rich at all, but they kept us comfortable. We never had to worry about being hungry or
or homeless.
And I kind of got into stand-up, was able to make money almost immediately after high school.
Right.
So I am completely high-horsing everything.
Well, this goes back to
very aware of that. I'm just saying, like,
Sure.
if some of these things are sounding disrespectful, I understand it, but it's the way it's my circumstance, and I try to remind myself all the time of,
Right.
and that's why I try to save money either way. And because I think, I can save money, and then eventually, hopefully, give it to something that's worthy when I
Right.
know what that is.
Sure.
Rather than
and
spend it on things.
to a certain extent, I do agree that our
I'm not
positions-
filthy rich. I'm not rich or anything, but
No. I don't.
I do love Louis saying that he's not rich. Though.
That
Have you
he's in
heard that? That he says that he's like, I'm not. It's like that's kind of funny to me.
It is
Like,
funny.
because
Well-
you're making he's making like 50. You're making like 50 grand a show. I mean, there's no
at
way.
least.
There's no way that you're not.
I think he was making $50,000 a show 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I don't know, but I'm just saying that's
That's all just
gotta be a
speculation, I
little bit.
suppose. Well, I think there's rich guy ways to be like, all my money's in the market. Like, I'm not very liquid right now, so you're like, I'm broke.
yeah.
But
You
have
have like $10 million in assets.
Yeah. What are you fucking talking about? Yeah, that's super weird. I had something that I was going to say to you, and I want to remember it instead of just changing the subject. Oh, the thing about you. It's funny that your story and our jobs or whatever kind of fuels the Zach Stone thing. It's a hard thing to tell a kid not to try and go after some preposterous
Yeah.
dream when you're the success story of a
Of
preposterous
course.
dream.
Yeah, I know. I get that a lot. Like, oh, thank you so much. I'm going to give a little tissue right here.
Yeah, a little Tish break.
Just a little blow action.
I'm going to
Just
read.
cough over it. Go on. Yeah, I'm
It's weird that we have holes in our face that leak snot, and we're always trying to get closer to people's faces. You know, like kissing is like a great thing, and you're like as close as you can be to this snot depository.
yeah. Why would you fuck a woman in the ass? There's a pussy right there. All right.
Oh God!
Just
You mean
that's
the
what it
nose?
reminds me of. No. It reminded me of some like old bit I saw. I remember I was at the Improv when I was like 12 with my mother, and a guy was like, "Why would you fuck a girl in the ass when the pussy's right there?"
Filthy Seinfeld.
I'm like, "Oh,
the pussy's right there.
the pussy's right there." Oh, that's
Not
amazing.
the ass, the pussy. Put it in the pussy. Oh God.
Okay.
When you get a blowjob, you cram it up her nose? That actually works perfectly. That would be a great filthy closer. You can have it. Someone's listening and they're like, can I have that? You can have it.
Oh my goodness. So what were we talking about?
You're
When people say like, "I want to be," how do you?
Tosh
what's
has that great bit where he's like, I've quoted many times on the show where someone comes up and he's like, I want to do what you do.
Oh, yeah,
and he
he's
goes,
amazing.
oh, you want to be a famous comedian? It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Which, you know, his persona can allow for something like
Yeah,
that.
it's great. Well, people say, well, like, what's your advice for being famous? You know?
Yeah.
And I would say, I have no idea. I
Sure.
got completely lucky.
Yeah.
I think it's completely arrogant for any
have
famous
a control.
person to say, like, you do this and I did this and I worked hard. Maybe you did. Maybe you worked hard. Maybe you got out of the
Right.
slums and you were, I mean, maybe you're such a rags to riches story, but it was still luck. It had to be luck at the end of the
Right.
day. I look around at the actors, the movie star. There are thousands of actors across the country that are
Yes.
just as good at that. There just are. There just isn't a demand for it.
There's 500 Brad Pitts.
Yeah,
there just are. Like
yeah,
gorgeous guys that are decent at acting. I actually think Brad's good at acting.
Yeah, and I'm probably not 500 Brad Pitts, but
Okay, there's 25 Brad.
no, yeah, no, exactly.
I know a guy.
But the thing is, the movie industry is based off of building up these movie stars so that people want to see. The studio system's based on movie stars of having value. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to have someone that I think movie stars are completely antithetical to. Sorry to cut you off on this, but
No, please.
I think movie stars are completely antithetical to like the art of film because. The great thing about theater is you show up at a theater and you watch a show and you haven't seen these fucking people before, so they just are the characters.
Yeah.
And now everything, even with the good actors, I go to a movie and it's like, oh, let me watch
Pacino be Kerouac.
or Michael Douglas be
Yeah.
Liberace, which was amazing. That movie
Yeah,
was fucking
yeah.
amazing.
I
Behind the
didn't see it.
Candelabra
I
was
gotta watch
amazing.
it.
But I'm saying I want to live in a world where it's like, holy shit, can you believe that Daniel Day-Lewis is doing his third movie? That guy did 3 movies. That's more than that's more movies than anyone's done in their entire life.
Right.
Because but again, no one would see a movie if there wasn't this idea of a movie star, but it's completely antithetical to art. I want to show up and watch a movie and be like, I don't know these people. I don't see,
Right.
I only see the characters and now
Right. Like the British Office, where people, when you were talking about people think Jack Woods is real, people thought the British Office was
Yeah.
real because they're like, that's David Brent.
and you don't need to think it's real. I mean, you
Right.
still know you're in a movie movie theater. You know
can
it's a movie.
suspend the disbelief,
but it's like, when I'm seeing The British Office the first time, I just saw David Brent. I didn't know who Ricky Gervais was. I didn't know who Martin Freeman was.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's perfectly right. This actually goes back to what you were saying before. I'm guilty of two things. One is accepting what is it called?
Parasocial
relationships. That was a little haunting for me because I do have this affection for the fans of the show, and
that's not a problem, because if you're genuinely feeling it with some people, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The other thing,
I'm just saying this. There's certainly a gray area.
Yeah.
And I'm not like saying I'm not drawing a line in the sand.
Yeah, I didn't feel like overly challenged. I was just like, I got to keep an eye. We all have to keep an eye on that. Like picking up the praise and putting down the hate is also something I have to keep an eye out for. But something also interesting is that like I realized that Sarah Watkins, the musician, did my Largo show, and I bought her album, and like I realized that part of when I really love somebody, like love a CD, is I start to kind of like fall for the person. She has a husband. This is not actually a romantic thing. I don't even know her. But like listening to the music, I'm like, this is my friend. Like I have that thing. I'm like, no, but she's singing for me. Like not about me. I'm just like, play a song for me, Sarah Watkins.
But that's true. But that's true, and that's like the beauty of a lot of the. You know what I mean? If you're sitting there in your car listening to, I don't know, like Fiona Apple or something, it's like, this is so intimate. This is a woman bearing her soul.
Right.
It's just to me. Right. And I don't want to eliminate that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what this podcast
I don't want to do anything, but like I'm saying.
But that's what it is with Marin. That's what it is with this show. That's what shows like this.
But I'm saying, so as far as the parasocial relationship, I don't think it's bad. I think that intimacy between them is part of the great illusion of this experience of giving art to people. It should feel that intimate. It should feel
connecting.
It's just a matter of the artist encouraging it to sell T-shirts. Okay. That's really all it is. When the artist is like encouraging it just to make money and not to encourage the experience of what, you know, someone listening to art or whatever is.
You're right, I think, to bring you back to your other point, because I just took you off the point and made you say your old point again.
No, I feel like I had to there because...
No, you did. That was my fault, though. And I was like, I'd rather keep you on what you were just saying, which I agree is there is a lot more room in film for people that we don't necessarily know. Because when I do watch my favorite actors, now there's a premium on that. I think when we see Matt Damon in a movie, we want him to be Matt Damon. Like, he's basically playing different versions of Matt Damon, different sides of Matt. You want him to maintain there's some Matt Daminess.
Yeah, and there's something cool about watching actors do things and challenging themselves. But I think it's really the business model of, like, you know, the movie stars attach the movie. The movie makes $1 million, $100 million, whatever it was back in the day.
Right.
$200,000. Right. And they say, oh, what are the common elements of this? Or we'll put the director here, we'll put the actor here. The thing is, though, with directors and editors and score and all that stuff, you don't really see the person, and that can, I feel like, can preserve the experience of what this thing is. But repeating actors, it's like, I just don't believe this. Like, I don't. It's like, oh my God, like. And I love Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's in this movie, and his name is Jeff. Like, I always laugh when I see, like, the next comedian, Seth, and I love all those guys. I think they're so funny. But it's like, oh, Seth Rogen's name is now Jack? Like, fuck me. Like, really? Are we really going to do this with, like... You know, that just makes me, like, piss my pants. It's just like, this is ridiculous.
What's dissolving?
My name is Aaron. Is it in this one? It's like...
I'm a cop.
Yeah.
Are you?
You know, and
let's take you out of it a little bit.
But... and again, I love all those people. I think they're all super funny, but it's like...
Bless you, Katie.
You know, I don't know, you're robbing the audience of an experience, I think, in some way, and you're robbing the actors of
love those introducing roles, like Ellen Page in Juno, for example, was a super fun thing.
Yeah, amazing.
And I love Ellen Page, and I love Juno, but then when I saw Inception, that was a real step, because she was so Juno, that when you saw Inception, I was like, why is Juno here?
Well, the same thing with, like, Christopher Nolan, like, everyone's the same thing. It's like an improv troupe or something.
It is an
improv
troupe, yeah.
It's like Michael Caine is this and that, you know, and they're all great, and of course they're amazing.
Right.
But I'm surprised by across the board the fandom for that's what's really funny is that, like, if you look at the factions of people that are into this or that, everyone's into celebrities. I mean, everyone loves a celebrity.
Yeah.
Even the coolest cool people, even like the back doors of the AV club or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah.
They worship people.
Yeah.
They worship certain people.
Sure.
Except now it's, I don't know, now it's David Cross or Mitch Hurwitz. I don't know,
Right,
just
sure.
arrested. But there's, now there's Firefly but pop culture is so, no one says I don't like movies.
Right.
No one in the world says, I don't like movies.
I used to have a bit about that where it was like, what a little bit about me, like on a dating website or Facebook. It's like, I love movies. It's like, really?
Yeah.
You love these multi-million-dollar pieces of mega entertainment that are always sold out, like full on the weekends?
Yeah.
Everyone loves movies. Everyone
It's
loves...
interesting.
You're right, but biggest slack-jawed yokel loves a movie, and so does like the snobbiest hipster also loves movies and worships.
But I could be wrong, and I could just be my data set could just be pop culture people. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm on websites.
I suppose
the people that aren't are just reading. And
when I run into you in London after you've disappeared and you're doing theater, I wonder if that Bo, smoking a cigarette at a cafe, who's in between shows, performances after the matinee, and you're eating, a light lunch.
I like this. I want to do this tomorrow.
I wonder if that Bo loves celebrities too secretly.
Oh, I love celebrities.
No,
I still do.
I'm saying we both do. I wonder if that version.
Yeah,
of
but
getting off the grid.
Just because I'm wandering into territory that I haven't really thought about now, so I just want to be careful. It's like, well, of course you love a celebrity because they're not just celebrities. A lot of these people, they just happen to be famous because they're the fucking best this in the world. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Tom York he didn't ask for celebrity. He's an amazing songwriter, an amazing singer,
right?
And someone's love for him doesn't have to do with him being a celebrity.
He represents the work.
He is the work.
He represents the feeling that you get when you were saying when you're playing piano on stage with a single spotlight. I was actually remembering a Radiohead concert I was at where Tom York did that, and I was like, "Oh, that man moved me." Like it's weird. He got inside
and
me,
10,000 other people,
and moved 10,000 other people at the same time. But we were all having a similar chemical. There's one girl throwing up and one guy peeing in a Corona bottle. But like most of us were kind of like, "This is happening." Someone made us feel something.
And actually, the appointment of celebrity is like a great democratic thing for the most part. You know what I mean? For the most part, it's pretty...
When it's not manufactured.
If you're a prodigy, if you're a genius, you know what I mean? If you're so good at this, you'll just find your way up. But again, so I think the thing I'm mostly rebelling against is the manufacturing of it and the perpetuating of celebrity that isn't relevant anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need you anymore. You don't do anything for us.
Yeah.
But,
do you do drugs?
I don't do drugs, no.
I didn't think you did drugs.
No, I don't. I know. I just have...
I'm listening to your brain, and I'm like, I don't think this guy does drugs.
No, No,
not to have a bias against people who do drugs. A lot of my genius friends do drugs. But something about your brain working.
But I smoke weed and stuff like that. But I just know my threshold for freaking out is in the spectrum of weed. Because once every 20 times I'll smoke weed, I'll be like, my heart is I can feel my heart beating. I can't breathe. So when people say oh, take shrooms, take out, it's just like you're just so all you gotta do is relax. I'm like, well, I'm done already. I'm not relaxed. Just the thought of it has me freaking out. They're like, just don't overthink things. I'm like, well, I'm fucked. So I just don't trust my brain to do that. It sounds wonderful and
you could take a tiny amount. That would be safe.
No, it sounds and I'm all for you should experience this. I don't think I'm going to die and be able to experience other things.
Right.
So, get it while you can get it. But
you're a dead over person. Dead over.
I'm not certainly, but I would say it's more it's only my disbelief in God or whatever. Just everything I've come across would point to the other direction. For me, nothing I've come across has let me know that there'd be something else. This is the very interesting argument. Sam Harris had this. Sam Harris is amazing. I think he's a neurologist and a writer and amazing. But he writes this thing about the soul and the idea, that if you get in a car crash, right, and you get in a car crash, you hit your head, you damage a bit of your brain, right? Mm-hmm. Your sense of speech can be gone, like that. Mm-hmm. You damage another little part of your brain, they poke it, a tumor rises, your reasoning skills go out, all these things can go. He said, if any little part of your brain separately is damaged and destroyed, that part of you is gone. But for some reason, when it is all destroyed in death, it somehow completely reassembles itself.
Wow.
And isn't that the proof of the relationship between the mind and abilities completely directly? Why would that?
How haunting.
Yeah. So, and that's what I sort of...
How terribly against my confirmation bias for wanting something to be true.
Yeah, but it's that idea of it's the illusion. I believe. I mean, again, I'm happy to have conversations about this. And I am the least militant about any of these things, and I don't think anyone is stupid for it. Again, I think there are people vastly smarter than me believe it. I know these sound like things to cushion, and they are exactly that, because I don't feel any hostility and don't want to have any hostility towards people. But I think there, and I don't know if it's definite, but there seems to be a bit of an illusion between the separation of the mind, and because it expresses itself so directly in other ways.
Yeah. It's actually very haunting to me.
Like, I hit you with a bat in your head, and you are a different person.
Right.
You have a tumor in your brain.
And you're a different person.
And we find a tumor in your brain after you killed someone, and you are not guilty of it.
Right.
That's...
because the tumor was in that part of my brain. Yeah, we talk about that sort of stuff all the time. It's actually really, really weird to me, because I was just... people that listen to the show know that I was in a very small car accident, which I keep going back, and I'm like, it was a little bit bigger than I gave it credit. It was small because there was no damage, but I had to stop very quickly, and I think I jostled my brain in a way that people are like, oh, maybe you bruised your brain. So what happened is I've noticed that my motor skills are a little less good. Also, I noticed that my grasp of vocabulary like really is not as good. It's not as sharp. So I'm feeling like dull and that sort of stuff. And I was like, so I'm waiting for whatever it is to heal. But that's weird. That's something that's kind of disturbing about that whole idea is something happened, like you're saying, to my brain. It got jostled at a high speed and I had to stop, and it got sloshed around and hit my skull or whatever it did. And now I feel like a different person. You know what I mean? The thing that I associated with my soul has changed a little bit. My ability has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Although behind that, I still feel like you don't feel like the quiet hum of something more than your intellect?
I feel the quiet hum of something more than my intellect, for sure. I think that feeling is definitely... I'm the first one to say the most mind-blowing thing in the entire world is subjectivity. That is insane. I don't understand that. Like, that is so crazy to me.
What do you mean?
That a bunch of organic matter got together, and now I know I'm perceiving the universe as apart from it, or something, or even I'm perceiving that I'm perceiving it as apart from it. That is insane. Truly insane.
Yeah.
So I'm open to the mystery of that being filled by almost anything. Truthfully, that could be anything. But I guess it all started for me and this is why I got into Sam Harris. He's like a really, really cool writer. I knew I didn't believe in free will, and he was the first person that I read something. He had this little book, Free Will, and he articulated exactly why I thought free will wasn't.
Please tell me.
Well, I don't know.
You don't believe in free will.
No.
Well, tell me why you don't believe in free will.
I'll butcher. I'm going to butcher.
Let's go in the butcher shop. Let's get some bacon.
Yeah, so let's let everyone know I'm in the deep end, so I could easily be drowning in this.
We're in a safe place.
Basically the idea... Why I didn't believe it is I was like... I look at children or the mentally disabled. I look at all these extremes that are never given. You don't think a child is making free choices. You don't blame a child for making certain choices like this. I looked at the terrible choices that Nazis made, in Germany, and I was like, there's no way that just a batch of bad people were somehow born into this. I don't think a batch of slave owners were somehow, like a genetic batch of those were.
Right.
And I believe that, with a combination of your brain chemistry and your circumstance, you have actually no choices.
Interesting. You're saying given different circumstances, you and I would have been marching with Nazis.
Absolutely. And then people say that if I was back in Germany, I would have been saving them. No, I wouldn't have been. If I had been born to German parents and had been taught this and indoctrinated with it, and I had, and especially if I had that person's brain chemistry, people are born with different I am so lucky I was born without an attraction to kids.
I have a bit about that.
I'm so lucky I don't want to fuck kids.
Yeah.
And
because you can't choose what you like.
Yeah, and then there's other people that go, well, I was born in here and I overcame that, and I had this urge and well, you were also born with the ability to overcome that urge.
Right.
I think that is your brain chemistry as well.
Yeah.
Even the ability to persevere. Some people don't have that.
Wild.
And basically what he was saying is that if a man has a brain tumor in his head and kills someone, it's immediately absolved. The idea is he's mentally ill, and that's not.
Right.
But that the
brain itself.
But the tapestry of our lives and our experiences and our brain chemistry all lead us to these everyday choices that none of us have any control over.
Interesting.
And he said if we eliminate the idea of free will, then the criminal justice system becomes about justice and not about vengeance, because you can't actually be angry at anybody for any of their choices. So when we're punishing people, sure, you can lock someone in a jail if they don't have free will, because even if they don't have free will, we need to protect people and we can't have them running around. Right. But it never becomes about vengeance, which I think is the problem, is that that's why a lot of people think free will, the lack of free will, believe in free will is really unromantic. But for me, it makes me realize I am not angry at anybody. I don't think there are any bad people. I don't think there are any bad choices, just like there are no good choices. I mean, of course there are choices that have bad and good consequences. I'm saying inherently there are not people that choose things more evil, that choose things. I think there are people that make worse choices, again, because of their circumstance. But I don't believe
we love
in this
movies.
innate... Like me, I'm just saying the choices I'm making day to day, being raised in Northeast Massachusetts in an affluent, decently, well, next to the rest of the world, completely affluent family with good parents that taught me good lessons. I went to schools, I had good teachers, I was never sexually abused. Are my choices the same as the choice of someone with completely different and worse circumstances?
Right.
That the person that goes in and robs a convenience store and shoots the guy because he's, I can only, the idea, my rejection of free will came from my own perception of how spoiled and that my virtues were not this thing within me because I'm a good person at all. It was these things that I had been
breeding.
Luckily.
Or not even, I don't mean genetic breeding,
nature,
I mean
nurture, yeah.
You were nurtured into...
And nature in that I have a certain set of brain chemistry. I think there are brains born that are more open to empathy.
Well, I mean, when we're looking for a breeding partner, when you're looking for someone to make babies with, you do look for someone where you're like, I hope I get some of that in the kid. You know what I mean? Some of their reason, some of their intellect, some of their empathy, all those different things. We're trying to control what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, but it's a weird one. But yeah,
it is a weird one. But it's true. So, Bo, you're this is in the past, so I won't even say God forbid, which is just a magic thing people say. But if your parents had died right when you were born, and then you,
my parents had died, God forbid,
God having had forbid,
God forbode,
God forbode, He did forbode it.
Yeah,
He totally looked out for you there. So your parents died, and then you were, raised by wolves or whatever extreme you want. I also think it's funny that you mentioned the mentally challenged, often left out of debates about...
Well, I think the mentally challenged, just because obviously you're not going to... with severely mentally handicapped people,
right?
Obviously they're not... they wouldn't be responsible for something should they lash out, should they hit...
Right.
I don't know.
Sure.
I'm saying obviously, and with children, I'm just trying to think of other circumstances where that's not obvious. And I just think with, I don't know, people that we deem normal or healthy or whatever, it's just... The equations and the factors are just a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
But
it's
America. It's the culture they're in. It's the people they were raised. It's what they had for breakfast.
It's funny.
For the last 20 years.
That was the beginning of Rob Bell just did the show, and he's going to keep coming up because I'm reading his books. But when he talks about the idea of hell, I just had dinner with a friend of mine who went to the same weird religious school I did, and she was telling me...
Gordon College?
Yep. That's right. I'm sorry. I forgot you knew that. We've talked about this many times. But she was telling me that she still has friends that think she's going to hell, and I was like, well, you got it. That's a deal breaker. Like, I can't have eggs with you if you think I'm going to burn forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why did I bring that up? Oh, when it comes to hell and Rob Bell... Thank you, Katie. A little rhyming humor got her. He starts the argument for there not being this traditional understanding of a hell by starting with children. He's like, well, at what age are you accountable for your actions? And I think that's just an interesting place to start.
I think the place to start is that God better check his fucking math. Like, what could I do in 80 years that would
That's another point he made.
Infinite amount of
a finite time versus an infinite punishment.
It's so idiotic, and I mean, just hell is so stupid. I mean, it's so. Well, I'm saying it's so mean too. It's such a it's such a terrible idea.
Well, that's his big idea that God.
Because I remember believing in hell.
He called God a prick on his episode. That idea of God being a prick.
I remember believing in hell in 5th grade and looking over at a Jewish kid and being like, he's going to go to hell. Like being so disturbed by that idea. Like this Jewish kid's going to go to hell. Like what the fuck? Like what did he do?
Yeah. Yeah. What could he do? You know what I mean? People like to go to Hitler. These are the extremes. These are the examples we have. But what could you do that would warrant an eternity.
Yeah, well,
even if it was like your worst enemy.
No, from my opinion, what I was just saying, nothing.
Right.
I don't think anyone has done a better job in this earth than anybody else in the history of the world with their circumstance. I think everyone has done exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think everyone has done exactly what their circumstance and their chemistry would have always had them do.
So interesting.
I don't think anyone, because
I'm very threatened by that idea, but I'm loving the dip in this
But
pool.
the free will, I'm just saying the belief in a free will is the belief that there is something outside of yourself that you're tapping into making choices. And I just don't. I think the choices are a product of our brains and our brain.
We trust
our brain
our
chemistry,
brains.
which is you never chose what brain you were born with,
right.
And you did not choose what circumstance you were born into.
That's what I think is interesting about sanity in general. It's your brain. This thing when like Brody did the show, Brody Stevens, I asked him if he felt like his brain had betrayed him. You know what I mean? Because it's a thing that you trust.
Yeah.
It's this thing that you have. And you've known it your whole life, and it's always steered you towards food and shelter and goodness.
It is you.
And it's telling you to rise to power and destroy people or whatever it is, do something evil. And you know, we're not saying those are good actions, but if someone goes out and murders somebody, that their brain told them to do that. I'm trying to.
No, I don't know. It's I don't believe. See, I don't believe you and the brain. I do believe you are your brain. You know, and some people believe your heart and your everything. It's like no. If I chopped off your arms, your leg, everything would still be you. If it could keep your head, it would be you.
Head in a jar.
Head in a jar would be you. I do believe that it is just your brain.
So there's no outside thing. I think that's. I've never even thought about it, but like, is there some? It's like my brain is telling me
to. Like, I don't know. I guess you hear things about like maybe consciousness is this thing that is maybe, but I think that either way, like the brain is an antenna that can only take from that what the brain is programmed to take from it. That's my point. I'm saying you could be plugged into something, but you're only plugged into maybe like an outlet that is charging all that you possibly have in your brain.
Doesn't this put the burden
Jesus
on?
Christ.
No, I love the deep swim. I love a good deep swim. Doesn't it put an intense burden on us to help each other a lot? When we take a certain type of power away from God to intervene and send angels and all these different things.
Yeah, this is so funny. I keep going to this, but I have this song in my new hour that's like from the perspective of God. That's the idea. It's God singing a song.
Yeah,
and it is all about that. It's all about like you want me to love you so much, but. You so want me to love everybody unconditionally, but doesn't that sound a lot like what you should be doing? Like it's not my job.
Yeah.
Why does God loves everybody, right? That's a beautiful idea that God loves everybody because God intimately sees everybody and sees them for their circumstance. That's the thing. It's like you realize when these troubled people in the world that you think are evil or bad or terrible, when they're like generally, I'm not saying always, but generally when they're like your brother or your father or your cousin, you know them intimately, you see where those things are coming from.
Yes.
And you say, he's not a bad guy, he just has this. He's really like this. No, he's not really like that. He is a prick. He is the whole thing.
Yeah, he's all of the things.
But you're close enough to see that, in my opinion, that free will really isn't there, that his bad choices are a product of something else.
I can't.
And our idea of God is that for everybody, that God understands everybody so much that he could forgive everything.
Yes. And
I believe that. I feel like if you looked at everyone in the world close enough, you would understand it.
Yeah.
It's so it's things in things that are quote unquote evil, I think, are things to be pitied. Like it's so sad that there's in my mind a guy going around fucking pillaging, raping, killing people. It's sad to me that he's doing that because I know that the better life is one where you're loving someone.
Right. But isn't the burden then on us, not on God or some sort of supernatural prayer or whatever, but for me to, because it's inarguable that your brain chemistry, Bo, in this pretend scenario, is to rape, murder, and pillage. Okay? But then I can come in and just like a good old movie like Finding Forrester or something, I can teach you how to read and I can teach you chess and
or you can kill me too. Like I'm also
or
open
I
to the fact.
Kill you.
No, but I'm saying I'm open to that too. I'm not saying that like since there's no free will we have to. I'm also like pragmatic. I know,
sure.
You know what I mean. I'm not.
But I could save you. That puts the responsibility on
I don't know
us.
if that's true. I don't know.
I could at least stop you.
You could stop me, yeah, but that could be fine. I'm just saying there might be the circumstance, the brain chemistry might be far enough along where it can't be saved.
But it's worth trying.
Lifetime.
Like, yeah, sure. I'm one of those people that always has that fantasy. First of all, there's somebody in my family, kind of removed a good bit, where I'm like, he's a grump and he's a negative person and all that sort of stuff. But I know him. I've known him a long time, and I'm like, oh, but this is why. So I'm with you there. So part A, I agree. I go like, oh, you think he's a jerk? He's not a jerk. This, and this happened in his childhood or whatever. So I understand, and I forgive, and I understand. Then I have the second part that I want to put to you is I often will catch myself having a fantasy where I'm like, I'd love to just kidnap that person, take him to an island, change his diet, change his circumstance, get some exercise going, take him off alcohol or whatever it is that's keeping him down, and fill him with good ideas, like the ideas that you've been filled with. Like, I have that savior complex where I just want to steal someone from their circumstance and see. It's like My Fair Lady. Can we turn this person who's this way into something else?
Yeah.
Can we save them?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But certainly some people could be saved.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a great thing to do. Of course you should do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a great little story about a little analogy that one I've always liked for God. It's called the egg. I'm going to totally butcher it, but the idea is that a guy dies.
I just pictured you cutting up a hard-boiled egg with a butcher's knife.
Butcher's knife.
I'm going to butcher this egg. Go ahead.
I didn't even get that. Okay. But yeah, I think the idea is that a guy dies, he goes to heaven, and someone's there waiting for him. He's like, "Are you God?" He's like, "Yes, you're God." And the guy basically finds out that he's going to be reincarnated as someone else. And he's like, "Oh, so the Buddhists were right?" And God's like, "Well, the Buddhists were. Everyone was kind of right." And he says, "Have I been reincarnated before?" And he says, "Yes, you've been reincarnated many times."
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Have I ever met myself?" He said, "Yes, thousands of times."
What do you mean, meet myself?
Have I ever met someone that I was reincarnated as? You know what I mean? The guy's saying that because he's saying he's been reincarnated before.
Right.
This is his millionth time dying or whatever.
Right.
But
if you die, how could there be two of you that you could meet him?
He's saying he just finished living a life.
Yes.
And just died. And
yes.
He goes to heaven. And God said, "I'm going to reincarnate you as someone else in the world."
That's already alive.
It could be from any time. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I see. I thought you had to be a baby.
No.
And start over.
Oh, you could be a baby, but you could be a baby
from
the
a different time. Yeah.
So basically the idea of the thing is that the man finds out that he is everyone. and that the world is an egg, and that once he has lived everyone's life, he can become his father, which is a god. He can become one of these people.
Wow.
And I really like the sentiment of that because and he basically says, so no, when you're hurting someone, the guy's like, "I was Hitler," and he was like, "Yes, and you were all the Jews he killed. You were Hitler. You were all the Jews." And the sentiment of that is just very much what I believe, which is that in theory we all could have been that, and it would have been exactly the way it was. Which I like.
You're really blowing my dick off today.
Well, that's another story. It's not my story.
No, but I mean, you read it.
Yeah. But the thing is, and just not to be vague about the free will thing, it's totally a weird idea, and I always get weird looks because I am I am believing that you would never have picked chocolate when you picked vanilla.
Yeah.
You were going to pick vanilla, and it was. And if we knew the math, enough of the math of the universe, I would have been able to predict that you would have picked
if we could look at your brain, the way
But
your
if
brain
you pick vanilla, you never would have. And what some people will say is ooh, the randomness of quantum mechanics, that's actually the randomness of free choice, and that's not true. The scale in which synapses and neurons are firing is way larger than the random placement of an electron in quantum mechanical. You know what I mean? The idea of where quantum randomness is happening is so much smaller than what would ever affect the chemistry of the brain. So that's a thing that I think Deepak Chopra and a lot of these people spin to say, ooh, quantum mechanics has been this blanket for a lot of people to say, ooh, the world is interconnected and it's all, this is consciousness. And that's not true. People that are experts in quantum mechanics, what they say is, I don't understand quantum mechanics. That's what the people that really understand it, they say, it's weird and I don't get it. And they never try to put themes on it or try to square it with a worldview, and that annoys me a little because I've always been a science guy, and I always get slightly annoyed when people let these geniuses do all the work, and then they take it remind me of kids at Halloween just taking handfuls out of the Take One jar.
You're supposed to take one,
and it's just scrapbooking this thesis out of all of this hard work done. It's no, that's not really what it is. And the thing is, I was naively in high school getting into physics for that reason. I wanted to be a physicist. because I had read Brian Greene's book and Stephen Hawking's book. I had read all these books where I was like, oh, cool, so if I'm a scientist, I'll just be able to sit around like we're doing right now and just, like, think about shit. And it's like, no, actually, you have to do 8 years of math to even get to that one page of stuff that sounds like philosophy. You know? And I just like talking bullshit. So I was like, oh, so I can just be a comedian and, like, drink red wine on Saturdays and bullshit with my friends.
It's funny because I just did Duncan Trussell's podcast, and he was saying that the gurus, the people that are the spiritual, the scientist equivalent of the spiritual side, whether or not they're full of shit or not, but they don't sit around and talk this way either. They have a very similar approach where they're like, I don't understand it. All I can do is help my neighbor and try and understand myself. Yeah, they don't sit around going like, we're on a planet.
And what's cool is that Sam Harris, that guy, he's like very open to...
He's
like
the physicist.
Yeah, the neuroscientist, I think, a neurologist, whatever. He, he's studied with like Buddhist monks and thinks there's like something very real to meditation and to higher consciousness, and there's ways to... I don't know if he uses those exact words, but he's saying like he's very open to... And the Dalai Lama has even said like if science ever disproves anything in Buddhism, right?
Yeah.
That Buddhism will have to adjust for it because science is always right. So, I also think subjective experience is objectively true. I mean, objectively a fact. It's a fact that it's happening.
That's interesting.
So I'm open to that, and that's all totally.
Let me put this to you. What are any of us saying? Let me put this to you. I think maybe I've said it on the show before, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. When it comes to people like Hitler, I think about this.
When it comes to people like Hitler, yeah.
I think... I was thinking about this on the ride over. I swear to God. And like,
when it comes to people like Hitler,
the idea is you could make a 15-minute film of anyone's life that would make everyone love them or hate them. Like you could do like snippets. Yeah. Like I hate to do Hitler. Let's do anyone else. Let's do Jay Leno. People seem to love hating on Jay Leno. You could make a 15-minute film of like the coolest and best things Jay Leno has ever done, and you'd be like, fucking Leno, man. You could also make a 15-minute film where you're like, fuck Leno. Same guy. You know what I mean?
Well, of course, for sure.
I don't know why I'm so troubled by that. It's like what people see. It's like what you were saying about a family member. Oh, no, he's not really that way because they've seen all these other things. But people just see... You could be persuaded either way.
Yeah.
Even that isn't like a true truth.
Yeah, I don't know. I think anything other than... he's exactly what he always would have been is not true, I guess. But of course, I don't think that consciously. I'm not walking around the street going, "Oh, you don't have free will, man. It's okay." I'm like, "Fuck you. Don't pick your dog shit up." You know what I mean? Like, and I also believe that in order for it all to work, we shouldn't be consciously thinking no one has free will. No, we have to hold people accountable, and it's But I also think like the best state that the human mind can be in or whatever evolutionarily is not like the truest one necessarily. Have I done something?
No.
Okay.
I thought Katie was giving me the light.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't think we're meant to know everything. You know, I think we're meant to know things that are practical to what we do.
Meaning that there's some things we shouldn't be thinking about, or even...
I'm thinking the most sane state, like you've said in your little. You have a bit in your act with this. Like the most sane humans, the most sane state in the world might be, I'm on a fucking rock, holy shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's a little bit of ignorance probably built into our mind that's
suspending
healthy,
that sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. The older I get, the more I realize...
belief in a free will might be that. That's what I'm saying.
Right. That might be a happier
because
place.
I of course naturally I believe in every I believe in my own life. I challenge myself to choose something.
Right.
But then once I've chosen, I'm like, oh good.
I feel like if this was in a movie, I was like, I'm getting the water though, Bo. I'm putting it down. I'm not going to drink the water. Like that would be the counter argument or whatever. But you're saying I'm a slave to my brain, and my brain is making me do everything.
No, but I'm saying I don't sit around going, well, I'm going to choose whatever I want to choose, so I'll just sit down. I'm like, no, make yourself get up.
Right.
You have to, because the feeling of making me get up and go do that,
right,
and then I do it. And yes, maybe I always would have done that, but I still need to keep those habits to live a healthy life.
Let me ask you this. What's different since the last time we did the show? Aren't you seeing a different person?
Well, I won't get into that.
You don't want to get into that?
Yeah, see, that's part of my
That's your thing.
Yeah, well, that's... just like most things, I don't like giving that away to people.
Yeah.
I don't think they're... I don't know. I also have some fans that might be particularly young, so I don't want... you know.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I've had things happen where a girlfriend gets tweeted at or something, and I don't. I've made a choice to involve myself in this life. I don't want to drag anybody else into it.
You're like Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I just also. I don't know. It feels too intimate to me.
That's fine. Completely
too
fine.
Intimate to fine. I mean, of course, it'd be fine. Of course, it'd be completely fine to share if these microphones were off.
Right, of course. Yeah. No, well, we talked about it over a meal. I actually knew the answer to that question.
But I'm saying the reason I don't want to share it is interesting, but I don't know exactly what it comes from, because I'm happy to share about my parents and
right.
But I don't know. It just, I guess it's always been weird for me. It's always
that's another
not been comfortable.
Random adult that you met. Your parents are your parents, and you're
exactly. And it just doesn't really feel as
right.
I mean, it's relevant to my life, and it expresses what I'm feeling in that, and what I get from it totally expresses itself in my work. But
sure,
I don't know. It's a particular relationship too. Like having a partner, it's a relationship where you don't want to really share too much. For me, sorry, I don't want to say
because you're trying to preserve it.
Yeah, and I just don't want to. It's no one's business for me. For me, it's no one's business.
Sure. I've never had a girlfriend when I've done this show. We've had this show for how long?
Your whole life?
By the way, can I say your Vine is the greatest thing there's ever been? I know I already texted that to you. I love your Vine so much.
You know what? People like giving shit to Vine or whatever. You know what I mean? Because
you're so good at it.
No, I don't know. I make stupid things. But Vine, I've never been more excited about something than I am about Vine, because it's like a perfect little thing. It's like, you make 6 seconds. It's
6 seconds.
And like it's free. It's of course it's got to be a good thing if it's making people give stuff away for free.
Yes, but yours are really well done. There's a certain element. I know I should be sitting around wondering how Scorsese lit a shot or something, but instead I'm like, how did Bo get the dog to sit still or whatever it is? You know what I mean? Like how many in that video? I don't want to ruin it. How many takes are you doing for something like that?
I did a few, and that one I will say that it is actually my girlfriend's hands that are doing that, and that's what actually.
Your girlfriend's hands are the dog's hands?
Yeah, it's her dog. She was able to get it to sit.
So you were filming?
Yeah, I didn't work on that.
Well, you got to tell her timing is perfect, because the little
the chin, it's amazing.
On the chin was amazing.
Yeah, it's truly amazing.
And box a kick. I mean, you do it, man. I watch them over and over. At first, I was like, "What is the point of it looping?" And then I catch myself watching it 5, 6, 7 times and laughing every time. It is. It's so stupid. And then I'll try and be like, "Look," and they might not get it. Like I'm like, "Look what's happening." They don't understand. Super, super funny. Well, here's some fun questions that weren't here the last time you were here.
Cool.
Like the show's longer now. You were one of our earlier guests, and also not always longer. We end the show when the show's over. You know.
I tell you, I was in.
What's that? At 90. We're at 90. See, we're at 90, which is great.
I was in Orlando, and some guy came up to me after the show and went, "Can I boom with you?"
I love it so much. All I want to do is make the whole world feel like one neighborhood, where we're just like, "Oh yeah, I boom with that's Bo. He's never met you. That's Bo, and he booms with Pete. He's never met me." And then he goes up to you and goes, "Can we boom?" And you do it. I love that.
That's great.
It's a great feeling. One of my favorite questions is, can you remember one of the hardest times you've laughed, or the hardest times you've laughed?
Oh, man.
People sometimes freak out at the question. I hate putting people on the spot, so I want to remind you that it doesn't have to be good. People are always like, this won't be good, and then it always ends up being a fun thing.
Well, see, that's that.
What I did.
Then it always ends up being a fun thing. No, like,
puts the pressure back on you. You're right.
Thing. No.
It's always transcendent and amazing and moving. So I'll just take a sip of water. What you think?
Gosh, one of the hardest times I've ever laughed.
As a kid, maybe even.
I think one of the hardest times I've laughed was. All right, this is my friend Joe was one of my best friends. I was with my best friend Joe, and I was with my best friend Tom. And Tom and I are sitting. We're in line for ice cream, right? We're in like outside. There's like 2 lines for ice cream, and Tom and I are in line, and Joe's behind me. And the guy beside us, very tragically, is ordering ice cream, but he has one of those tracheotomy, so he goes like, I will learn drum raisin. You know what I mean? I didn't laugh at that. He goes, I will learn drum raisin. So I look at Tom, and we're like 14, so I look at Tom, and I'm like, we're not going to laugh. He looks back at me, and we're like, we're not going to laugh. We're not going to laugh. We have to be, we are 3 feet away from this person.
Yes.
And then Joe, who didn't see the guy, goes to us very loudly and goes, does anyone hear that robot voice? And we look back at him, and the guy looks back at him, and Joe made eye contact with the guy and ran away and left Tom and I.
I'll have a large drum raisin. And you didn't laugh.
And then we didn't laugh.
The success of not laughing and then ruined by Joe. I can't tell you how many times I've been Joe. I'm the guy that comes up and goes, where was that robot?
But that's the thing. It's like anyone could have said, did anyone hear that? Yeah. But he said, did anyone hear that robot voice?
What did he think it was? Just a robot. Robots don't eat ice cream.
They would eat rub raisin.
That's fantastic. Ruining a situation. That reminds me of when I was actually in Stratford-upon-Avon, and I was sitting with a professor of mine.
That's amazing.
I know, it's weird. And he was telling me, I guess, this was never big in my life, but, when they were kids, we told, dead baby jokes. We had all these inappropriate jokes, but apparently, hair lip jokes were big. And he was telling all these, I know, I don't understand.
What?
There's one where, it's a pretty harmless joke. It's a guy, it's not nice. I just don't want you to think that he was telling, this really terrible joke. We're just talking about a hair lip, and there was a girl with a wooden eye, and he asks her, no, she asks him to go to a dance with him, and she goes, do you want to go to the dance with me, Phil, kid with the hair lip? And he goes, would I? And she goes, hair lip?
That's great. That's great.
It's a wordplay joke.
Yeah.
So it's not really just people with hair, he's not a monster. So we laugh at the stupid joke.
He could have been anything, actually. The joke would have worked.
What do you mean?
He could have had
anything.
He
could have, exactly.
Yeah.
He could have had an eye patch. He could have had 2 noses. It doesn't matter as long as there's something that you can point out. He could have put anything. But the second he finishes telling the joke, there's a guy with a hair lip right behind us and goes can I sit there, mate? And we're just oh my God. That where'd that robot voice come from moment. We didn't even laugh that hard. It was just a terrible thing. We still twinge every time we think of that.
That is so cringeworthy.
And then this other Joe moment I had was we were scuba diving. I think I've told the story on the show before, so I'll tell it quickly. And we saw this eel.
I love you saying Joe moment. Joe is a great guy. We'll get that out.
No, I know. Joe's a great guy.
But I was listening. Probably know who Joe is, and Joe's a wonderful person.
Joe's great.
Still one of my best friends.
Okay. I'm just picturing Joe Mandy now. So,
no, this is a childhood best friend.
No,
I have a lot of friends that I'm still been best friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Grade, yeah.
That's great. Make new friends, but keep the old, they say.
But keep going. What, Joe moment.
So there's this eel, and I'm looking at it, and we're floating, and me and my friend Kurt are looking at this eel, and it's you don't always see eels, huge fanged eels. It was amazing. It was seeing an underwater dinosaur. My friend Aaron swam over, and we were doing the sign language for eel, and he's really excited, and it's coming out, and he's about to see it, and I get the Joe idea to stand. I was the only thing more badass than looking at it, and an eel in the bottom of the Red Sea is standing on the bottom of the Red Sea. And just standing Superman or Neil Armstrong, just on the floor of the ocean or the sea, and looking at. And so the second I go down on the ground, my 2 fucking 6'6" extra large flippers just flap down and kick up all the dust. And and as this underwater smoke bomb erupts, all I can see, you can't see the eel anymore, but just perfectly, when life is framed perfectly like a movie, I see Aaron's eyes looking at me you fucking idiot, as he's eclipsed by this fucking smoke. He never saw the eel. Once it settled, that eel was gone.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
That's a Joe moment.
That's truthfully a underwater I'm just thinking the Pete Holmes in his natural habitat, instead of squirting the ink dust, squirting the ink, it's ink cloud. It's he rustles up the dust.
I kick up the dust and ruin everybody's one chance to see an eel.
But if you were gone at that moment and Aaron never saw you again, that'd be the most amazing story ever. It's he just kicked up this dust and he was gone.
He was gone forever. And then we, let's see. I was going to ask you if you want to sing along to a pop song or if you want to play fake laugh to real laugh. One involves singing.
Okay.
And it's a basic game where I like to play it in the car, where if you're listening to a pop song you've never listened to, The point of the game is not to be good at the game. It's not like, get the lyrics right, and we always do a slow one. The point is to play a game where you're singing along to a song you've never heard before.
Okay.
But you're not supposed to, like, make up funny lyrics or anything necessarily. You're just supposed to try and sing along. And the other thing is, or we can fake laugh and while looking at each other, and then when it turns into a real laugh, you raise your hand. That's all. There's 2 games we can end with.
Okay, I like the fake laugh, real laugh.
Fake laugh, real laugh.
I do. Kind of
I've been doing this when I go out and say hello to people. Sometimes fans want to do it, and it's always fun. So we start with a fake laugh.
Shit, I'm like,
it's gonna be bad. We're gonna be bad at it. I don't mind, and we can do it more than once. We'll do it a couple times, so it's fine. So ready? You raise your hand when it's real.
Do we have to look at each other?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got this. Well, we should start with our head down.
And then look up?
Yeah.
That's going to make it funnier.
That'll help me.
Okay. All right. Ready?
You're right. You start with the head up.
The reveal.
Yeah, the reveal's too much.
Ready? That was a little real. I did a little real. There we go. Round 2. What was that?
I feel like I'm just like an old... Okay. I can't fake laugh. I don't know how to fake laugh.
You can do it.
I don't know. Okay, all right.
One last one.
All right. Yeah, that is a fake laugh.
Yeah, it's kind of...
All comedy is dead. I could probably fake laugh till I die right now.
That's good. Let me look at the notes. Mom, I was going to ask you about your mom. Who cares? Milk is gross.
My mom is great. I could talk about my mom for a whole podcast. I could talk about her hospice nursing for a whole podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's insane.
Well,
next time.
Okay. Well, we can do it again. Creative pen. I got an astronaut pen in the mail today, and it made me very excited.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Isn't life sad?
So what is the astronaut pen? Upside down underwater?
I don't know if it goes underwater. You know what?
I feel like they can just slap astronaut before any product, and idiots will buy it.
Wow, I just told you I bought an astronaut pen.
Sorry.
I just wanted a pen that won't explode in my pocket.
Oh, no, these are the cool ones, actually.
Oh, you're not just saying that, are you?
No. These are the ones. No, these are ones that look like tiny little
bullets.
Tampons.
Yeah, like an OB tampon. I've had a girlfriend before.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how this stuff works.
If I were a girl, I'd use OB tampons, the kind that don't have.
I'm just thinking if an astronaut had a fucking pen, it wouldn't be like this slick and like.
No, absolutely not.
And like Apple,
right?
You know what I mean? This looks like it's like fucking.
And I'd like to think real astronauts
looks like so slick and stylish. I think astronauts a little dorkier,
of course,
and like more practical. I mean,
of course. And I don't think they all like Neapolitan. I think they like chocolate just like every good goddamn American. Everybody's just eating the fucking chocolate on that shit.
Yeah, the strawberries.
SGFs? Oh, 5 girlfriends. Love gets better.
5 girlfriends?
Remember I told you I feel like I need 5 girlfriends?
Oh, yeah, my goodness.
The cult Bieber buyout language. I was saying that like when we call things like Bieber buyouts, when we change language, it's something that I was reading about L. Ron Hubbard did and the military does. Whereas if I can make you be like, I'm not a Bo Burnham fan, I'm a Bo head or whatever it is. That's one way to indoctrinate me into like fandom of you, into being like it's a thing.
Yeah.
Even any community, comedians, we do bits, we do sets, we're on the road.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that's one of the things. That's how we brainwash ourselves into being. Like,
that's funny. Yeah, I had
thing.
like a song before that would like it was like a stupid. It was basically just trying to satirize hip hop and the idea, but I just said in the thing the word like Bo's hose. I said that, and like I'll have girls like come to the show.
I want a Bo's hose.
And it's funny. I think like they have a sense of humor about it, but like I was very clear not to like hashtag my things with this. You know what I mean? Like Selena. There's all them Selena Nader. I saw MTV trying to start one. I feel like called Cumber Bitches for Benedict Cumberbatch. And I was I don't even think that's true. But
wow, I'm a Cumber bitch. I
would
him.
be a Cumber bitch. Holy shit, he's amazing.
I want to spread him on my toast. He just looks milky.
Yeah, he's amazing. He makes like Chinless look really sexy, which I didn't think was possible.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
That's the real mystery, Sherlock. Where's your chin?
That was a fake laugh. No, I was kidding. That was amazing. But yeah, it's crazy. That is truly mind blowing. But I guess I know it's like regular, and who cares? It's just kids that'll be involved that love things, and then they won't. No, not both. But I just mean like the general name. Like who cares? And they people are fans of stuff and they go away and it doesn't matter. It's not really. I mean, there's certainly worse things in the world. Patton Oswalt has a good bit about now that I'm like
the Patheads.
That's what but he says a thing of like, now that I'm older and have a kid, I don't even really give a fuck. The thing I don't give a shit about is like Creed sucking.
Right.
Like, I'm glad these guys are just making shitty music and not killing people or
whatever.
But I don't know. It's still annoying.
That's interesting.
It's just annoying because like it's not so much what they're doing as much as what could be in their place. Or maybe it's just
it's weird.
Like music and all this should be.
I was just talking about that. What's like Nickelback comes on the radio. I don't listen to the radio, but if Nickelback comes on the radio, I have no problem with it. Why do we all know the words to Nickelback songs, but we all agree that Nickelback sucks? It's one of those things that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem with, I can't even think of any of their songs, but
it's also just like...
It all sounds the same to me.
Hip, cool people that think they suck. I mean, they sell so many...
Well, they sell out. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So just,
Right. I used to love Creed.
There's a thing that where hate just becomes like self-perpetual, It's like...
I loved Creed.
You love Creed?
You know that. Katie's still laughing about me loving Creed.
Creed is...
Because I was Christian, and they were like kind of vaguely
surprise,
Christian.
surprise. The Delta Airline headphones... No, it's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. No, it's probably my dumb big head. I have a giant. For people listening, I have a giant head.
All comedians have
giant
heads.
ears.
Yeah.
I know. I have a giant head. It's
a huge
not
head.
fun.
Yeah. If I were bowling with your head, I'd be the greatest bowler. It would be an unfair advantage.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Very nice thing. What were we just saying?
We were talking about me loving Creed and Nickelback, and you were saying it's just cool people that don't like Nickelback.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's what we were saying.
I think we walked a really fine line between acknowledging fandom, putting down fandom, like breaking it apart, but also being like, it's okay sometimes. I think we did a lot of things.
No, it's great. I mean, and like, the thing is, I say, like, if I'm bringing down my own ship with this, like, so be it. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm not going to do anything. I don't have any power in the world.
Sure.
But, like, I know I build everything. I know how much of a hypocrite I'm being, you know? But it's hard to question anything here without being hypocritical because it's such a terrible place out here in
Los Angeles.
Well, just not that, but just being involved in this sort of, I think, very blind and impersonal. For it's just a shame that like the people that we're making all these products for the most part, exist on spreadsheets, and the same people that are making the coolest shows are going, dang, why isn't the Nielsen? There's only this many people, and people are DVRing. Watch it live, and it's
right.
Oh man, like, did you forget what you're doing? Like,
yeah.
It was like that surprising thing I loved, but like when Arrested Development, like they made 66 episodes or something, or 54 episodes,
Yeah.
And this is irrelevant to them coming back or whatever. But like they like so quickly it felt like victimized themselves. I can't believe we got canceled. We were so good. It's like, you made a show of 54 episodes. Who cares if Cheers went for 500? Who cares if everyone else is doing? Wow, what an amazing life you've been given.
Right.
It's like a lot of these. Everyone wants so quickly to play underdog and to play like they've been fucked out. You mean like that's I feel like a lot of cool people do. It's like, I'm fucked and no one watches this.
Right.
And I'm just having this slight experience or having these urges to do that with this. Maybe possibly this MTV show, and I'm trying not to because it's like, no, I'm obscenely lucky
it's
next to
perspective.
99% of the world,
I'm always,
whatever. So it's like I cannot complain about this. Like I know
I'm blown away by your perspective.
Friends who are putting up plays in New York City, and they get 40 people to come to a show, and it's amazing.
In its entire run.
And that is amazing.
Yeah.
40 is amazing. I mean, 40 people. Holy shit! It's only two of you.
Right.
So like the fact that I'd be complaining about a 0.2, which is whatever the friggin' abstract demographic is,
right.
all these people, is disgusting. And the point that I would indulge it to the point where I want to victimize myself, so people are feeling bad for me. That's
right.
Like if Zach Stone gets canceled, which it's a good chance it would be, or whatever. It's a chance it would be,
Sure.
I don't want, the last thing that people should feel is bad for me. Of course, the last thing people should feel is bad for me. An amazing life, amazing opportunity. Even making this show, doing 12 episodes is more than I'd ever thought I'd be able to do in my life.
Yeah.
But some people be like, no, bring it on, because this means you're rooting for me and I'm the underdog and you'll want to see my next thing. And even though it might be business savvy, it's a little gross.
It's really funny. It is business savvy. I remember LaToya London, I believe, on one of the seasons of American Idol I watched. She said what you said, which she said, it doesn't matter she was in the bottom three. She goes, it doesn't matter if I make it to the next round. I'm so blessed to have made it this far, and I'm so grateful that I made it this far. And she was voted off. And the girl who sucked, who was not as good and cried, got voted on to the next week. And I remember the judges kept pointing that out. They were like, LaToya made a mistake. She shouldn't have said that. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
You're right. Politically, it makes more sense to be like, please help.
Yeah.
Cry.
Yeah, there's two sides, but yeah, it's weird. Gratefulness can be used but it can also be used as a self-ability. I'm so grateful. Oh my God, you guys, I can't believe it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm so happy to be here. Oh my God, you guys are the best. I don't know. You know, it's like, it's weird because like there's a sentiments that I want to express to people without sounding like that. Like, I am so grateful that I'm so grateful that I'm here, and you have given me this life, you know, truthfully. But the only way I can repay you is to keep my head down and do my work, and not to like love you and tell you how much I love you.
Right.
That's not what this relationship was built on. It was built on me being funny or me making jokes and you liking them. It wasn't built off of like me and you exchanging like webcam things where it's like ask. Everyone does this now, like ask whatever, you know, hashtag ask whatever, and somebody just answer questions.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. And then they want to buy the magazine where they caught a picture of you coming out of because they want to see their friend. They want to see their friend coming out of a restaurant.
Why wouldn't you take a picture of your friend?
Yeah, well, you know.
Or interrupt him during dinner.
I think almost always the objectification starts with the celebrity and not with the public. I think that celebrity objectifies themselves.
Well, they made that point on Extra. On the show Extras.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais makes that point where he's like, when my celebrity was making me rich, I was fine with it. But when it ruins my dinner, it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you can't really have both.
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting.
The thing is, I think I'm weird enough and just a little fringe enough where it won't ever be an issue for me. You know,
right.
I'm not. Again,
I don't know if that's true, but okay, yeah.
I'm not. I don't think of myself as famous. People get really like, oh, what? Like I've heard people say, like, get angry at that or something. But I just and I'm not even saying like because I have a different definition of fame. So no. Like I walk down the street, no one recognizes me. I mean, like, right. I'm not recognized. I have a small pocket of young, cool people that seem to dig my stuff and come out, you know. Yeah, Bozos. Yeah. And when I go to a show and like all of those people from a city come to one place, I sure look. I look famous.
Yeah, I understand.
But in normal life, I totally am not. And I would love to just keep this, you know, but you have to try to get.
Well, that's what Jim Gaffigan said. You never wanted to be cool because once you're cool, you're on the way down. Like he's like, I don't want to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. He's just like, I'll just maintain what I'm doing. And that'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, he did a great job. I mean, he's been at such a cool level the whole time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
But he's big.
Yeah.
Huge. It's so crazy. He's like the biggest comedian that never had a show.
Right.
Or like never had his Gaffigan, you know.
Never had a hit show. He had Welcome to New York.
Oh, and that was him starring in it?
Yeah, but then it started very obviously a vehicle for him, and then it became more of an ensemble where he was the star still.
I know. It's hard for me to like picture it.
But nobody's going
show being their show unless it's literally their last name or their first name in it. Because that's what everyone's doing nowadays.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Well, let's push this out. We'll put this out so people can watch Zach Stone Wants to Be Famous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Thursday at 10:30 p.m. It's
what's today?
It's Thursday.
Oh, today's Thursday. So we'll put this out tomorrow and people will catch it next week.
Yeah, cool. You can watch it. You can probably catch up. You can catch up on some episodes on MTV.com or you can pirate it.
I'm going to watch that Liberace show.
Liberace is amazing.
Really?
It's amazing. I loved it. I mean, they're just such good actors.
I love Matty D.
Everyone's flipping over Rob Lowe, and he was funny. He was good, but I just like Michael Douglas. The fact that he could pull out a performance like this so late in his career is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and it's like so touching, and it's really just a story about this very complicated marriage.
Yeah.
You know? But it doesn't handle, because some people like handle the fact that I feel like very often, not to get into more things, but very often like being gay, it's like if you touch gay, you're making a statement. So be careful with it. And it's great. It's like, no, it's just another thing about this. They happen to be gay and they happen to be rich and they happen to be, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's a bunch of things. It's not.
Right. And he's Liberace.
Yeah. There's so many things that has nothing to do with, it's not making a statement about gay. But I feel
it's just a human story.
Exactly. But I feel like sometimes when gay characters are involved, people get scared because it will become a statement. Right. So they want to like handle it.
That sounds like progress. If a movie's coming out and they're like they really portrayed a gay relationship like in this,
and I think they portrayed a gay relationship without worrying that they were portraying a gay relationship.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I think.
That feels like progress.
Yeah,
I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah, well, it's just great, and it's just the acting is amazing.
I love it.
Soderbergh's I always have to get used to watching his stuff. It's so good. It's so cool.
Cool.
And it's like really fast and great and funny.
It's on HBO?
Sad. Yeah. I think it's like on demand, right?
Yeah, it's on HBO Go.
Cool. HBO Go.
Hey, HBO Go, fuck yourself. I forgot to let people in on the scenario that made that funny.
Which is what?
I don't know. Would you say, thank you, first of all, thank you so much for doing it. I'm so thrilled that you wanted to do it again.
Oh, man, it's so fun. I
I
got such nice words from the first one.
I feel like we could do it. Next time, let's talk about your mom. Let's talk about your family. I'm going to crack you open and make you spill every intimate detail about your life.
My relationship.
It's going to be really weird.
Yeah, I hope I didn't. I hope I didn't come off as a big rolling ball of pretension.
This is a safe place. You didn't, first of all, but even if you wanted to, this is a fun place to wear that hat.
Okay, because I'm aware that I am that at times, but I'm only that in this room.
The whole time, you were the perfect blend of saying some deep shit and acknowledging that you don't know anything.
Oh, that's don't use the P word. Perfect is never. It's dangerous.
Okay, you were a wonderful blend. You were a robust blend.
A wunderkind blend.
You were a wunderkind. Thanks for you got to say keep it crispy. Would you say keep it? That's how we end it.
Keep it crispy.
Thank you, Bo. Boom, 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 boom.
Crispy, so crispy.